Welcome to another episode of Design on Purpose. I'm here with a triathlon coach in beautiful Bangtao Beach in Phuket, Jürgen Zäck. Welcome, Jürgen.
Oh, thank you, Rix. It's an honor to be on the Design on Purpose podcast.
Oh, thank you.
And welcome to beautiful Phuket.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love this place. And this has been a long time coming, this one. I've been wanting to get you on this podcast for a while, but we've never seemed to kind of be able to tee it up with your busy schedule and all the training that you guys are doing. So, Jürgen, can you tell us a little bit about your story, about your background? Like, how would you describe?
I'm German. I live in Phuket now for 15 years, but before I came to Phuket, I was a professional triathlete since 1983. So I started triathlon right from the start. So I was one of the pioneers of the sport. So I went through all the stages of development in triathlon and ended up being a professional and ended up also living in San Diego, California between 1989 and 2006 for most time of the year to train with the best triathletes in the world and also to experience different training methods and learning to deal with different nationalities and also organized a little bit of my own training. So I had my own training squad in San Diego.
Yeah.
And I retired from professional racing in 2006. And then I got a job offer in Phuket as a triathlon coach and director of the Triathlon Academy of Thanyapura Sport and Leisure Club, which is the biggest sport club here in Phuket. I've done this job for 5 years, and then I decided to be my own boss, started an own company, Z Coaching Phuket, here on the west coast in Phuket, closer to the beaches, and that's what I'm doing since.
Yeah, I mean, and I've been watching a little bit of this from the sidelines here at the Beach Pig. You know, you've always got people coming into Phuket to train with you. So what, with your background and your, like, because you've won a few titles, right? You've won a championship. So I don't know how the whole sport works. I know it's a really difficult sport, but what is your like pedigree in the sport? Like,
second place in Ironman Hawaii in 97.
Mm-hmm.
I held the bike course record for more than a dozen of years in Kona at the Ironman World Championship. I did win 8 Ironman races, German championships, 3 times European championships, Duathlon World Championships, first place. That was mostly in the 90s.
Yeah.
So it's a long time ago.
Lots of lycra. So just for the people that are listening who maybe don't have any context of Ironman or triathlon, what are the legs of a triathlon race? Because it's pretty hectic what you guys do.
Yeah, let's start how it started. There were some drunk, I think, Marine soldiers in Hawaii fighting over who's the better athlete, the swimmer, the biker, and the runner. And then they decided to do all 3 sports in a row in Hawaii and make it a long distance, 3.8K swim, 180K bike, and a full marathon. And the winner, because they had only specialists at the start line, swimmer, biker, runners, is the best athlete. And then it became a big sport, and it's now a franchise with I don't know how many races per year. This is the Ironman distance, that's the long one, but we also have half Ironman distance, which is called 70.3, and Olympic distance, which is 1.5K swim, 40K bike, 10K run. Sprint triathlon, which is half of the sprint distance. We have relays and super sprint, where you do short swim, bike, run sections a couple of times in a row.
Yeah.
On a small course to make it spectator friendly. So there are many different races now. So I wouldn't consider myself an Ironman coach. I'm a triathlon coach.
But what's the difference between Ironman and triathlon? Is Ironman a brand of triathlon?
Ironman is just a brand. They started with the full Ironman distance. And there's also a governing body called International Triathlon Union, and they look after all the disciplines.
Yeah.
And we have also competitions that are non-drafting. That means athletes have to keep 10 meters from each other on the bike, and they are on triathlon bikes. lying on the aero bars. And we also have draft legal races where athletes are racing on road bikes, and it's like a bike race. They can form packs and ride together. So all kinds of different formats.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's like, but do most people that do the triathlon, are they usually generally like good at one of those disciplines and then they branch out, or is it generally people?
We have people who are good at 3 naturally. We have people who suck at 3 naturally. But the most athletes who start triathlon, they at least have a background in at least one of the sports. And a coach is very fortunate when he can discover a teenager who has a swimming background, because swimming is the most technical sport.
Yeah.
You need to learn this at a young age. You can always become a good cyclist and runner later. But if you're already in the 20s or 30 or even older and you can't swim proper, you will always have a problem.
It's hard to learn.
Always be a weakness.
But it's also so different, like swimming out in the ocean than it is to swimming in the pool. That's a whole nother situation.
We do offer both. We have 3 pool swims per week and 3 ocean swims. And we have athletes coming here who are scared of the ocean, who
I've seen it,
have no experience, or who have like fears from the past, or watching too many movies. They think we have sharks in the ocean. But at the moment, it's paradise for swimming here. The ocean is flat. The temperature is at 27 point something degrees. So perfect temperature. It's flat. It's clean. There are no jellyfish. There are no sea lice. So from November till May, we have very good swim conditions. And that's why people love to come to Phuket, because I think it's one of the best places in the world and also safe for open water swims.
Yeah. And what kind of people do you attract to the sport? Because I've seen it's quite diverse, isn't it?
We have everything. We have the youngest athlete is like 11 years old and the oldest one is 78.
Yeah.
And we have people from all nationalities, from all religions. We have Russians, Australians, European, from the Arabic countries, Indians, everything. So I just had a session about 3 weeks ago and we had 40 participants, and I counted the nationalities and we had 22 different countries at the start line.
That's amazing.
So what we offer for training is we have every morning and every afternoon a session. We have 6 swim sessions per week, 4 bike sessions and 4 run sessions. And it's a non-stop training camp. It's all year round. People can come and go as they wish.
Yeah.
People stay sometimes only a weekend, a week, a month, 3 months. Sometimes people come and they never leave.
Well, yeah. I've seen some of those too. What does it take to be a triathlon athlete? Is it obviously you got to have some kind of skill you're talking about there with the swimming, and there's all these disciplines that you have to learn, but is there like a particular character trait, or like got to be a little bit crazy? What is it?
Yeah, most triathletes are a little bit crazy, but there are some athletes who just enjoy swim, bike, running and are talented in this, and for them it comes easy. But then we have people who don't have a background, who have health issues, overweight, or people fighting any addictions like alcohol or drugs, and they think they need to do something for their health and has decided to change their life and become a triathlete. So we have all different kinds. It takes a certain mentality. Yes, people have to be a bit stubborn, but in a positive way. I mean, like they have to find a consistency in their training.
Mm-hmm.
They have to get out of bed in the morning because our sessions start very early.
Yeah.
Because of the temperature, it makes sense to start the bike rides at like 6:40. We'd start the swim sessions at 7:30, and our evening sessions are sometimes or most of the time at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And you need a routine. You need to be willing to have a healthy lifestyle. Although we have also some exceptions of people who do both. They can party and train at the same time.
I've seen them actually party pretty hard.
But we do have a lot of people, that's very interesting, who have a background with drug addiction and alcohol, and all of them that came to our training managed to overcome the problem and change their life completely.
Yeah, it's something that I've been learning like this last year is around consistency and discipline and like how it actually changes you as a person. And I feel like the sport that you do is so demanding, like mentally, physically, like just everything, even like the recovery. Like you probably also want to get very disciplined with recovery and looking after yourself. So like, do you see people dramatically change when they start doing the sport?
First of all, you can see sometimes the way how they look. After a few months of training, they change their physique. They look more athletic. They lose body weight and look much better, healthier, happier. But it's also a mental thing. People get more relaxed. They also open up. It's not just the training what I offer here, it's also the community.
Yeah.
You meet people from all over the world. You come from Australia, let's say from Western Australia, and where you from, right? And you're very...
Well, I'm not from WA, I'm from Sydney, but...
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But if you come from a small city in Australia or from the countryside in Russia, you have your environment and your point of view of life and the world is very limited. And here suddenly you're in a community of international people from all ages, from different countries, different languages, and it creates better people. People open their eyes, they become more tolerant.
Yeah.
And it's also good for the Thai community here. We have a lot of Thais. I would say 35% of our athletes are Thai athletes. We offer also free training for the young Thais from the neighborhood here, from Bang Tao area. This is the name of the beach where we are right now.
Yeah.
And it's a Muslim village, and a lot of young Muslim kids join our training, and they don't have to pay anything. And they come at the age of 14, 15, and they don't speak any English. And also some young athletes from Indonesia or Vietnam. And for them, it's an incentive to communicate.
You mean like to learn English?
Exactly. They're shy in the beginning, and they just hang out with each other and speak their own language. But then they realize, oh, I want to talk to this good-looking Russian girl or to this old German coach who has a few things to say. And then they get motivated to learn English. And that's what I experienced, that almost every teenager has, their life has changed. It went into a different direction. Instead of being among themselves all the time and be a little bit limited in their point of view, they suddenly show interest in other countries, other cultures, learning languages. And we had some dramatic change, and I'm very proud of this, that we can do something for the community. We also started a foundation recently.
Oh, wow. What's that?
Which is there to support young athletes who train with us. It's focused on the Thai kids, but we also include other Asian countries. We have a lot of talented athletes coming from Vietnam and Indonesia. We had also Filipinos here in the past. And we also integrate the expats, Western expats, teenagers in our program. And they get their travel expenses paid. We support them with their equipment, and especially for the Asians, we also help them with their education. We try to give them opportunities. We had somebody who learned to be a sport massage therapist, so we helped them buying a
that's
table.
So cool, yeah.
If somebody wants to learn English, we pay for the extra English classes. And
is that, what's the foundation called?
Zäck Coaching Foundation.
Zäck Coaching Foundation. Oh, that's so cool, Jürgen. Awesome. Because it is, like, from what I've seen when I've hung out here with some of your athletes, like, it is a real community, isn't it? Like, and I guess that probably comes down to the training as well, because I imagine, like, when you go out, you've got a whole broad spectrum of capabilities or, you know, levels. So how do you manage that so everyone's training all together? Is it a bit of a challenge or what?
Well, this is our philosophy. to create a family atmosphere and to integrate everybody into the training. We do have some minimum requirements on the bike for safety reasons. Somebody has to be able to ride 30 kilometers per hour in a group safe. If they can't do this, they have to do their homework and come back later, just for safety reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But on a swim and a run, any level is possible. And we do divide our sessions in different pace groups. In the pool, we have 8 lanes anyway, so we have the fast lane and a slow lane. On the bike, we divide the whole group into 3 or 4 pace groups. And every group has like a group leader, somebody who is in charge of the session. And for the run, anyway, it splits up in different pace groups. And we do, for example, interval runs. That's, for example, 10 times 400. And we're going to start at the same interval, the same send-off time. So let's say every 3 minutes we start the next 400 so that everybody lines up together and everybody experiences this group feeling.
Yeah.
They also call it a triathlon family, that coaching Phuket.
Yeah.
You can come here from a foreign country and you don't know anybody, and on day one you are part of a family. We not only have the training, we also have some social activities. After almost every session we go to have a smoothie, coffee, breakfast together.
Yeah.
We often meet for dinners, so every evening there's somewhere a dinner appointment where athletes can join. So you can come here alone, but you never feel alone. You're always with people.
Yeah, it's very cool what you guys are doing here. I mean, I got to participate in one of your swims. That was an experience. The one to Surin Beach. And like, you see the whole different level, like I think when we were out here, I was out on the kayak. I don't even know how you knew I was going to be able to paddle the kayak, but we went out there and I ended up in the back, remember, with that one guy. And I think he was quite scared about what was going on in the water. I wouldn't like to be swimming out there, to be honest. I don't know. And I've done surf life saving and stuff, but I don't know. I think I could totally understand the anxiety, but it's like it's a long way to go because you're going out past this headland here.
Well, we do some extreme challenges once in a while. This was our New Year's swim last year. It was an 8K swim. But we had jet skis and kayaks for safety, and we encouraged the slower swimmers to use safety buoys. So it was a relatively safe swim, but we had a few people who couldn't make it. So the guy, Dan, he's half Thai, half English.
Yeah.
He is an excellent cyclist and didn't train much in the swim, and he just wanted to do it. And
yeah, good on him.
I guess he made it to the 2K mark and then turned around, but it's still a 4K swim. And he survived.
No, he survived.
Thanks to you.
Well, I just tried to stay with him, but he ended up walking in from the beach like miles. I think he probably did a 2K swim and like an 8K walk or something. No, I'm joking, but I mean, I wouldn't have the guts to do that. I think good on him, but it's just a testament to the fact that you're providing a community where there's all different levels and everyone's able to kind of have a go, and no one was alone, everyone was safe. The way that you kind of managed all of that.
Exactly.
It's
we do these crazy things occasionally, not too many times. This swim also was toys legal. That means people could use snorkel, fins, or paddles, or pool buoy. So we were not very strict with the rules. It was just about making the distance and having fun, and then having breakfast together, giving out some vouchers, breakfast coupon vouchers, hotel vouchers, gym memberships, energy drinks as a prizes for all the categories, for the youngest swimmer, for the oldest one, for the overall winner, and so on.
It was a good vibe. How many Ks do you guys do in a week, do you think?
Well, the pool swim is, depending on your level, between 2,000 and 4,000 meter. But of course, if somebody can't even swim 2,000, they can always keep the session short. The bike rides are between 50 and 120 kilometers, and the ones who train for full Ironman, they extend occasionally to 180, especially on a Sunday. The run sessions between 6 and 20 kilometers, but our elite athletes and the ones who train for longer distance, they always add on some extra.
So like what, like in a week, like, I mean, that's a lot of calories, but like collectively, like I'm not very good with maths, but do you have a number like of the week? Like some of your top athletes, like how many Ks collectively are they doing?
We have athletes who come only to one swim, one bike, and one run session per week.
Okay,
so
got
they
it.
have a minimal mileage per week. But let's just pick an example. We have Dimitri Liduk, who
Yeah.
is our female professional triathlete from Australia. She's also one of our coaches with the coaching license, and she would average about 15 to 18 kilometers swim per week.
Oh, that's a lot.
350 to 650 kilometer on the bike per week, and between 70 and 110, occasionally a little bit more kilometer per week. But she's an exception. She trains for Ironman. She has done sub-9 for Ironman. We have
Is that a bit of is that a thing? Sub-9? Is that like a?
that's like the magic barrier for the women. Go sub-9, then you're pretty good.
Sub-9 hours?
Yeah. And we have also national team athletes who train for sprint triathlon. They have shorter sessions. They have a lot of sessions, frequent training, but they don't do the high volume. They ride maximum 120K. The longest one is maybe 12 kilometer, but they might have double run days or double swim days.
Yeah.
And they are, we have a lot of young Asians who try to qualify for the Southeast Asian Games, which is a big thing here in Asia. It's like the Olympic Games of sports here in Southeast Asia. And the championships are in Thailand this year.
Oh, that's pretty cool. You get to do it here on home turf.
Thai athletes are very motivated, but we have Indonesians and Vietnamese athletes who have a good chance to qualify. Okay,
that's very cool. And what about the mental game, again, of doing a marathon? Because like a lot of the top business people that you hear talking about entrepreneurship and business, they talk about it like it's a marathon. It's you got to treat your business like a marathon. You got to play the long game. And I imagine that like a lot of the mental stuff that you guys deal with, the challenges in running a triathlon or competing in a triathlon would probably very much apply to life or business. So like what about some of those mental challenges when you're in a race? Like it's a long distance, a long time, 9 hours. Like what's going through your head when you're doing that?
Yeah, first of all, you have to do your homework. You have to prepare. You can't do a marathon out of the blue without any mileage. You have to get ready, otherwise I would consider it unhealthy. So this is the first thing. The second is you have to choose the right equipment, the right shoes, the right clothing. You have to have a plan. You have to have a support crew. It always helps to have some people with you who help you with encouragement, with all the logistics that are involved before the race and after the race, and yelling out splits. And you have to have a race schedule, of a pace schedule. So you have to know what you have to define a goal. Let's say you want to run 2:49. That's easy to calculate for me, which is a 4-minute pace per kilometer. So you have to be very consistent. And then during the race, you have to stick with your game plan. You should not change it unless the circumstances are not right. That is another thing. You have to adapt to the circumstances. If it's extremely hot or it's very cold or windy, you have to change your plan, and you have to be able to do this. And you have to think in advance about anything that might happen and have a solution already prepared in your brain. And then during the race, you have to be consistent, patient, and then it comes to a point when it gets hard. It might feel comfortable for 20 kilometer or 24, 30 kilometer. And then you come to a point where it gets really painful and you just want to give up or slow down. You feel your energy is running out. Your muscles start hurting because you have a buildup of muscle tissue breakdown, which feels like a sore muscle, or you're just about to get a cramp. And then it's a mental game. Then you have to get through this. You have to detract yourself from negative thoughts. So you try not to get into this negativity. You have to think about the positive things. For example, setting some rewards for after the race. So somebody might think about a cold beer after the race, or an ice cream, or
Yeah.
somebody has some weird thoughts like thinking about naked women or men.
Yeah, I wonder who that would be.
And whatever makes you go and makes you tick, and anything is okay to think about. And I've been through these phases a lot in my Ironman races and marathons, and sometimes you have to divide the race also in segments. You just say, okay, I keep that pace for another 3 kilometers, and then I go from there. Don't think about the marathon as a 42.195 kilometer run. Think about step by step. Stick to a plan for the first 10 kilometer. Adjust. Can go a little bit slower if you feel bad, or a little bit faster if you feel good. You have a headwind, you might have to adapt your pace, and think in shorter segments. And then when you come to the finish line, regardless of how it went, even if you don't have 100% race, there's always this release of happy hormones, endorphins, and you always have this happy feeling, the goosebumps on your skin. And once you've experienced this, it can become addictive, and you want to have this again and again.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine just finishing a race like that would be such an achievement. So what kind of steps what kind of things do you do with your, like, you're talking about switching out negative thoughts there, or like you're replacing negative self-talk almost.
Yeah, every athlete is different. Some people are numbers athletes. They get motivation looking at their numbers. They look at their heart rate. They look at their cadence, steps per minute, at the average speed, and they want to be as close to the plan as possible. And they get motivation out of this. They want to fulfill the plan. And some other people don't find this very attractive or sexy. They just want to enjoy the feeling. For example, they do a marathon with 50,000 people and a 500,000 spectators, like the
Yeah,
big
it's a
city
buzz.
marathons. They just want to enjoy.
Yeah.
And they might also say, okay, the experience is more important and the time is secondary. So everybody has a different goal. So it might not be 100% a certain time that they want to reach. They want to just do it. They want to finish. They want to have the experience. Want to get yelled at by 500,000 people, and maybe meet new people and new friends on the race course.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't even imagine doing that. I just because you see those guys, like, watch it on TV and the Olympics and things like that. And they just look like, but you get to a certain point in the race and people just look like they're, like, you can see that there's stuff going on in their heads. Like I can't even like what you're talking about there really applies, like that's my only kind of thing what I can relate to is like the business aspect of that. Like all those things apply at what you've said there, like, thinking in short sprints, there's going to be times of intensity, stick to the plan, having a strategy. Like they're really valuable life skills to even have as a triathlete.
Exactly. And a lot of my athletes, they claim that following a triathlon training program made them more successful in their job because they were better at this. They were more focused and happier and learned a lot from the sport.
And like it's a lot of training that you guys do. How do you manage that in terms of like lifestyle, like family and relationships and things like that? Because it's like You probably don't have a lot of time left over.
Well, it's up to each athlete themselves. I mean, some people want to do just a little bit swim, bike, run and don't want to make any sacrifices. Some are very good in integrating the family. They encourage the wife to come for a jog once per week or bring the kids to the training, and then they want to be part of the swim group and jump into the pool and join us for a few laps. And they might join us for our social activities. So we include the family of each athlete. So when we have a dinner in the evening, kids and wives and husbands and parents show up, and it's
a
not
good
just the
vibe.
hardcore triathlon group, which is part of Zed coaching. It's all about
the wider
others
community,
exactly.
bringing everyone in. Is there anything like that people, a weird fact about triathlons or triathletes that people wouldn't really know about, like a weird cultural thing? Or
Oh, the one thing that I have experienced over the last few years is a bit of the thing that I don't like. It's a bit the addiction to gadgets, like sport watches, numbers. So people are too focused on hitting certain numbers in training. Let's say they want to ride a power average of 200 watts on the bike in the race, and they need to hit that number. And if they don't hit it, or maybe hopefully a bit better, they are totally unhappy. So, and they act according to this also in training, looking at numbers, looking at the heart rate, the average speed, constantly becomes a little bit of the norm at the moment. And this is something which I don't like. I try to encourage people to step away from this a little bit and develop more a feel for the body. They need to learn how to be effortless, efficient, relaxed. And this is not what an app can tell you. You have to learn to do this by yourself, to enjoy, to have fun. So sometimes when things get hard on the run, I just scream one word to the group. I say, smile. And then everybody is relaxed and happy, and eventually even perform better after the smile. And I think it's been lost by a lot of people who look too much at numbers and trying to have too much science involved in their training, and they forget about the body feeling.
So do you think that's taking away from that learning of understanding the body a bit, relying on the technology?
I'm not saying that science and numbers and sport watches and gadgets are important, but you have to use them smart. And it might distract from other things that you also need to learn. I'm a believer in learning swim, bike, run as a specialist. You have to learn the technique. You have to think like a swimmer, like a biker and a runner at certain stages of your career, and learn the technique, learn to be relaxed while being in action. And that also requires a little bit body feeling. And I try to include a few sessions where we train this. For example, we run a 10K distance and I take away all the watches. Nobody's allowed to carry a watch, and they have to predict a goal time. Let's say you would say you want to run this 10K in 1 hour, and one of the faster runners says, I want to run in 34 minutes. Then they have to hit that time, but without looking at a watch. They just go by
So they're
feel.
going by pace. They're trying to work out their own pace.
Exactly. And then we have a winner. Then the winner is not the fastest one. The winner is the one who came the closest to their predicted time as possible.
Oh, that's interesting.
And this also gives a chance for every level to win our training competition. And then we used to do this, and we gave out prizes and had little awards ceremonies. But it also teaches people to reflect, how fast am I going? What time will that be? I want to run 4 minutes per kilometer. How fast do I have to go without looking at the watch all the time?
Yeah, there's probably, those things have taken over every sport, really, haven't they? Those smartwatches, all the biometrics. You even see people with like glucose, sugar monitoring and things like that. It probably is good to kind of get some data, but when you're not flexing that muscle of learning or trusting your own intuition I mean, I see that across. I mean, like even I'm training mixed martial arts and things like that. Like you wouldn't have seen those like a few years ago, but now it's just like sometimes people are even wearing two of them, like one Whoop, one Apple Watch, one like, yeah.
So my advice to many athletes is leave your sport watch at home and do a couple of sessions just without anything and listen more to your body.
Yeah. What about stress management, Jürgen? Like, imagine, doing triathlons would be quite stressful on your body. Like, how do you manage that?
Well, I'm a firm believer in recovery phases. So if somebody gets overtrained, they should have a day off or a few days off, or sometimes even longer. If somebody has an injury, they have to get over the injury and reduce the training or also stop training for a while. If somebody is sick, they need to give the body a break. So I'm not somebody who pushes through all these things. It's important that people stay healthy, recover, manage the physical stress by including recovery days and also recovery weeks.
Yeah. It's so wild. It all applies. All the stuff that you're talking about there, it all applies to business and life. It's pretty amazing. Like even just, going like the work that I do in design, like we go through like really intense periods of design sprints. And you can't work like that long term. So I need to like make sure that I take times to recover and down, take away some of the mental stimulation for a period of time and then get back into another, focused piece of work. So it's like very interesting. There's a lot of like, crossover there.
Yeah, you have to learn to focus while you're in action, but you also have to learn to relax and also distract your mind. It helps to recover as well.
Because like, have you seen anyone ever like have a really bad mental loop during a race? Like, have you seen any of your athletes? You probably
see all kinds of things.
Like, what are some of the things that you see?
I see athletes who are racing who should not be racing because of being sick or injured. That's one big problem. They are obsessed. They think they need to get this done. Sometimes it's no shame just to say, okay, I'm physically not ready. I can't do it. I've seen athletes having too high expectations. People falling apart because the circumstances are not in their favor. Like
what do you mean by that?
You go to a race and suddenly it's 10 degrees colder than you expect, or you go to a race and you expect that the water is at a certain temperature that they would allow, for example, wetsuits, which helps with the buoyancy, and then the water is 2 degrees warmer and you have to take the wetsuit off and swim in a textile suit, and then they mentally fall apart before the race because they don't have the advantage anymore of swimming in the wetsuit.
Okay. So these are like changing conditions. Like you've got to be prepared for unpredictable changing conditions, right?
You have to adapt. You also have to adapt you have to change your plan, your action according to the circumstances. You have to adapt your expectations due to the circumstances and try to do the best out of the situation, even if it's against you, as much as you can. I train this sometimes. Just one example. Sometimes we do bike run sessions. So we run immediately after the bike ride. So we go on our ride and people
that sounds
place
like
their running shoes.
a lot of chafing going on there.
That's
a
not
little
a big
bit
problem.
Yeah.
And then the people place their running shoes somewhere on a parking lot, and the shoes are waiting for the athletes to come back. And I go and move the shoes. I move them to a different spot to create a moment of stress. Something unexpected shows up. You come to your slot in a transition area and your shoes are not there. And then you have to keep your calm and make a decision. And this is one example. You can create the situations to prepare athletes for eventual stress moments and teach them to make a quick decision that makes sense and to keep their calm. Also, the most stressful situation in a triathlon race is for some the swim start, because you are with your competitors side by side, elbow to elbow. It can be a little bit of a fist fight, a bit rough. Somebody's kicking you in the face, and we simulate the situation in training. So we have on a very small space, 10 athletes starting together, swim around a buoy, and it's a constant fight. But I need to get them ready for the most stressful part in the race. And they do this and they hate this. And when they've done this 100 times, they start loving it.
Yeah. Do you think that's what makes a good, like great triathlon athlete is the ability to respond to unpredictability?
A few people are natural talents at this. And the mentality of a triathlete is actually the opposite. You want to have a routine, and swim, bike, run is something that for somebody who sees this from outside is not very spectacular. It's the same movement. It's always the same swim movement. It's always the same paddle stroke. And on the run, they put one foot in front of each other, but it's actually not. And people choose to be triathletes because they like this routine. And
You mean like the training routine?
they like it, but they have to learn also to be a bit more responsive to situations. Some people have this naturally, and some people need to train this.
How do you train that? Is that to do with what you're talking about there about bringing in the stresses?
Create unexpected situations. Or, for example, I announce a program, and then within a few seconds, I change the program and make it harder. And then I get lots of complaints and, oh, we hate our coach. But this is created on purpose.
To make them better athletes.
Get them ready for when the headwind faces you in a situation and things get harder. And you have to get them mentally and physically ready for this.
Yeah. And there's so much crossover there too, what you're talking about. Like what you're talking about there, this unpredictability, like I'm seeing a lot of that in like what's going on in the world at the moment with like emerging technologies, the job market changing, like all this stuff that's coming. And there's probably a lot of people in the world who have had this comfy job for years and years and years. And now there's all this complexity and unpredictability. It's like this is probably a very valuable skill for a lot of people to be learning at the moment, because we're probably experiencing something very similar to that. So like, how would somebody in a non-triathlon setting, you know, under your coaching, how could they create this unpredictability in their life, you think, and mimic what you're doing there?
Well, they have to once in a while create a situation that gets them out of their comfort zone. Or you create these situations for others, if you're like the teacher or the boss, and just for education reasons, and just make him keep him on the toes occasionally, and give him a challenge that they're able to adapt quick, instead of staying in a routine all the time. You can do the same thing every day again and again and hit a plateau and don't improve. And you need to stimulate your mind and your body different with a short overload, or stimulate your body or mind from a different angle to make you better at what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, it's a very good advice. And what about, like, have you ever had to pull somebody out of a race?
Oh yes, I did.
Yeah.
I had
And
to.
like for what reason would you stop?
Injuries, where people injured themselves, we had all kinds of weird things where people entered a race being injured, and I was against it, but then the athlete was so stubborn, and I thought, okay, let's give it a try, but then it didn't work out. I experienced this with myself as well. When I was racing in Kona, I was second in Kona once, and I always wanted to win this, and I prepared well. I was super fit, and then I had an injury, and then I thought, maybe it goes away. Maybe it will not show up in the race. But I was wrong. I had to pull out athletes because of overheating. So you have to sometimes make a quick decision to prevent any damage. Or sometimes they are so far behind. Normally, there's a spirit of you want to finish a race, and I do encourage this. But if somebody has one race weekend after weekend, and they need to be fit every weekend, and then they have a low one day, it's no shame to say, okay, guy or girl, just get out of the race, save your energy for next weekend.
Go and have your cold beer.
This can happen also, but I do not recommend this for the normal age grouper. The normal age grouper has a desire to make it to the finish line at any cost. It's more for the elite athletes who make their living, who might want to do more damage to their body by continuing, and then sometimes they have to pull the plug.
Yeah. I bet you that's hard to do for you and the athlete. How much of being successful in a triathlete or being a successful triathlete is discipline versus like natural ability, you know, or like consistency? Like what's the biggest part of it? Is it maybe it's a combination, but
it's
I
hard
wonder.
to say. My guess is talent is 50%, and also what you've done when you're young matters. So if you've done performance-orientated sport as a teenager, it always helps, especially when you were a runner, a cyclist, or the best would be if you were a swimmer. You also have that mindset already in your genes, or you learned this when you were young.
What's that, like discipline or?
Yeah, to suffer, to go hard, to go intense. Somebody who starts triathlon at the age of 50, they never experienced how it feels like to go 100%, to build up an extremely high lactic acid, for example, and to go a max effort up the hill 5 times and with some long recovery. And I would say genetics, talent, what you've done as a young person, and the rest is just your own will. And somebody who doesn't have the talent but is extremely good at being disciplined, they can compensate for this. It's not always that the most talented athlete is the winner. The winner will be the one who has the strongest will at the end.
So would discipline trump discipline and consistency trump talent?
It's equal, but when it comes down to the race on race day, and the one with less talent has compensated
with
for
consistency,
that with good training and lots of discipline and smart training, and it comes to the finish line, the one with a stronger mind will always win.
Yeah, interesting. Gosh, it's all of this stuff. Really, it's so relevant. It's really, these are just amazing lessons for life. Do you think that like discipline is something that you have to learn when you're younger, or you think you can learn that later in life?
it always helps to learn discipline when you're younger. It doesn't matter if it's in sport. If somebody is in a band and they have to rehearse regularly, or in a philharmonica and plays the trumpet and has to be part of a team and learn the skills
Yeah.
day by day over years, this is discipline. So some people learn disciplines in a different area, and then they turn into sport later, and it reminds them of when they were a trumpet player in a philharmonica.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be from the same sport, but you can learn this also later. What helps is being part of a group, because you see good examples within the group that you just follow. And when we have a time schedule, every Monday we meet at morning there, we do this and that. Every evening, another session with another meeting point. And you have to learn to be on time.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
Then when you're there, when you show up, this is already your first victory. You made it. The second one is you want to get the most out of it, and you don't want to embarrass yourself in the front of others. And we are very encouraging. We don't judge people only by the fastest is not always the best. Okay, the best one is the one who makes a good effort, who shows consistency, who overcomes obstacles, and we honor this and cheer everybody up.
Yeah, I mean, I learned that discipline. I rode surf boats, and we would train in the morning for 5 a.m. And if one person doesn't turn up the boat, you can't train, because the boat just goes in a circle, right? So, and you do not want to be that guy that doesn't turn up and has everyone else get up at 4 a.m. or 3:30 or 4 a.m. to get to the boat ramp, and they're waiting for you because you've slept in. You just definitely do not want to be that
part
person.
of the group and helping each other, encouraging other people, and get encouragement always helps.
Yeah. What do you think about being a specialist versus being a really good generalist? Like, as it applies to your sport, because like for example, like right now in what's going on in the world with AI and all of this, like we're seeing a lot of people with specialist jobs at risk of losing their jobs, specialist accountants, lawyers, particular professions. And it's almost better to be a generalist these days, having a little bit of expertise of everything. Do you think that applies to triathletes? Like, or would you prefer to have someone who's really good at swimming, is going to nail the swimming leg, and then they're kind of okay at the others? How does it apply?
If you talk about the athletic aspect, it's always good to have no weakness, to be good in all three.
Okay. A generalist.
But it's always good to have a secret weapon. Okay, it's always good to know how to shift into another gear in a swim, to drop your competition, or to be extremely powerful or efficient, streamlined, aerodynamic on the bike to get an extra advantage. And it always helps to know how to shift into another gear, or to do a good sprint at the finish line on the run. So a consistent athlete, very balanced, has always an advantage, but the decisive advantage is if you have a secret weapon.
Did you have a secret weapon?
My secret weapon was my bike strength. They called every move I made on the bike when I was passing people or took the lead, they were talking about, oh, here it is, another Zäck attack. So I could use that in my favor to give him a motivational crack. I cracked them on the bike. I got decisive leads on bike rides that they could not take away in the run later. But sometimes it's a gamble. It pays off. It works out. but sometimes it doesn't. So I had also a few races where I sizzled on the bike just to get fried on the run.
Okay. Yeah, it's such a long, so many aspects to think about in this whole race.
But you were talking about within our triathlon, but I also think if somebody is specialized on one thing only, let's say somebody is focused on triathlon only and neglects everything else in life, this is something that I do not promote. I do encourage my athletes to have other interests, to be social. If somebody just swim, bikes and runs, and they eat and sleep and repeat this, and this is not what I like to see. I like to see people who engage in other activities, even if it's just social events or having other hobbies, working on their education, on their academic career when they're young. Even just simple things. I encourage people, for example, on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon when we have a few hours of no training, to meet here at Beach Pick, which is one of the best places in Bang Tao. Let's do some advertise for this place. If you're ever in Phuket, don't forget Beach Pick, great Thai food and lots of live music in the evening. So
and sometimes Jürgen is performing here.
And we do meet. I encourage people, just come, and we have a few chess boards set up and play a few rounds of chess. And it's important to do other things. We have lots of discussions after the training, of course, a lot of discussions about the training, but we talk about other topics, about politics, about the situation in the world. So I try to widen the horizon.
Yeah.
So if somebody says, I'm going to do some surf classes or I'm going to learn paddle tennis, I always give them a thumbs up. It's a good experience to stimulate your body from different angles, but don't get injured.
Paddle's huge, actually. I've been seeing a lot of that. There's actually a lot of intelligent people that do triathlons, isn't there? Like, I've noticed that it seems to draw people in that are have some kind of intellect. I don't know what that's about. Maybe it's a strategic aspect to it.
No idea why.
Yeah.
No
but have
idea.
you noticed that too?
Yeah, but it also became a bit of a posh sport, a fashion. So it's not, if you want to succeed or go with the flow, you buy expensive bikes, you buy the gadgets, you go to a training camp, and that adds up in cost. But it doesn't have to be that way. We have people here on $200 bikes and cheap running shoes and just simple cotton shirts, and they can improve as well. So it doesn't have to be an expensive sport. But I experienced over the last 5 to 10 years, it becomes more and more the new golf.
Yeah, like a status thing, right? A little bit.
Yeah, you go to a triathlon race, you look at the transition area, there are 1,000 bikes, and you go through the bikes, and you see a couple of bikes that are $1,000, but you see the majority of bikes between $3,000 and $6,000.
Wow.
And then you see 20% of the bikes, $10,000 up. I see this trend over the last years, but I'm not encouraging this. It doesn't have to be an expensive bike.
Yeah. What about when I was training at Bang Tao, they brought Georges St. Pierre's out. He's like one of the best MMA fighters of all time. And he mentioned something during his training there that he had this model basically, and the bottom of the model was physical. So your physical aspects, your stamina, your fitness level or whatever. That's stuff that you can kind of work on your own. and then he had strategy, tactics. Yeah, he had like one that was like was kind of more of a strategy, and then there was one that was like tactics. So it's like, oh no, one was skills, one was skill set, and one was tactics. So it's like he was saying that it's, you know, you build up your physical, then you have like you're learning all your skill sets, but what makes a very good MMA athlete is actually someone who knows how to use the right tools at the right time. And that's a whole nother aspect to it. I can't remember what he labeled those. I'll find out and
It's similar to triathlon.
Yeah.
The most important thing, you have to have endurance. That's the most important thing. Then the next thing is you have to have a certain amount of strength, and a certain amount of speed, and then also technical skills. You have to be able to do the movements.
Oh, that's what it was. It was physical, technical, tactical. Yeah.
And then tactical things, which is more important for the athletes who are racing for podium and medals and prize money. And the one who has all the foundation built, but the one at the end who has the better techniques and the better will, that makes a decisive difference between first and second place.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like all this stuff applies across the board. Is there anything else you think worth mentioning that we haven't covered?
Since we're in Phuket, let's promote the island a little bit. So I've chosen Phuket as a training destination a while ago. I've been training in many other places in the world, but Phuket has it all. I do enjoy the steady temperatures all year round. We can train all year round.
What about the rainy season?
It's not that bad. The rainy season has also advantages. First of all, less people in Phuket, less traffic. Second, it's a bit cooler, a bit more overcast. You don't get sunburned. Occasionally a rain shower cools your body off. If somebody doesn't feel safe on wet roads, we also have alternatives to ride indoor in a gym. We have alternative sessions. But it's a nice paradise island where you can swim, bike, run, and it attracts a lot of people. And it has a lot of things to offer, a lot of things to see, and a lot of good food. The Thai food is amazing. It's naturally very healthy.
The cold beer is amazing.
Thai beer is good too, that's true. But the Thai food is naturally very balanced, very healthy. It's fresh made. And the Thai culture, the Thai people, the animals you meet in Phuket, the stray cats, the stray dogs, the chicken at the beach. I love everything about Thailand and Phuket.
Yeah, I do love Thailand. It was really nice coming back here the other night. It just feels like another home to me. And the Thai people are so nice too, hey? Like it's a beautiful place to be. What have you got anything coming up, Jürgen? Like any camps, or it's just an evergreen camp? You know, people can just join anytime.
Ongoing thing. It's an ongoing thing. We had our high season with Christmas, New Year, Chinese New Year, with record numbers. The biggest session, we had 2 sessions, a swim and a track running session with 65 people, which is huge for one group. And keep in mind, we have this every day, every morning, every afternoon. So we had higher numbers recently than normal. It'll slow down a little bit, but we still have a working group. We have a big percentage of expats and Thais who live here all year round. So it never ends. And we always get new people. We're looking forward to integrate everybody. And that makes life and our triathlon training also more interesting, because every few days we have new people. We have lovely Koreans who have joined us recently, who are going to stay a month. This is something new. We had never had athletes from Korea.
Yeah.
But we have them from everywhere. And this is what keeps me going. It's the interaction with different people. Every day, new challenges. No day is the same. Although on paper it looks the same. We do a routine of session which changes a little bit every week, but there's a basic structure that repeats week by week. But every day, new people, new challenges. It never gets boring.
No, it's good, and I feel really blessed to have been included in it in some way, like doing water safety, and you're always very inclusive of me here at the Beach Pig and hanging out with you guys. So I really appreciate that. It's nice to have some friends in Phuket. And so where do people find you, Jürgen? They find you, is it Z Coaching? Is your Facebook group the place to go?
The best is to look at Facebook, Z or Z minus coaching Phuket. We have a Facebook page, 8,300 members, and we publish our training, our schedule. We publish race results. We give out training tips. It's very interactive and entertaining.
Yeah.
And that's the best to look at. We also have an Instagram page. Actually, I don't know the exact name.
I'll find it. I'll put it in the link. I'll put it in the link below in the description.
Z minus Phuket. Z minus coaching Phuket.
Yeah.
On Facebook. This is most active page.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I'll put all those links to those in the description. But it was really nice to have you here on the Design on Purpose podcast.
Me.
Hopefully the audio and the videos turned out here. There's probably going to be a bit of a light change, but we'll see what we can do. You look good over there. That's all that matters, really. But if you got this far, thank you for listening to Design on Purpose. And you can follow us on all the channels you guys know. Instagram at Design on Purpose. You can follow me at Rixley on Instagram. I'll put all the links to the description. And if you have been getting some value out of these podcasts as well, I have actually started to buy me a coffee. So if you wanted to make a contribution to the podcast, you can do so there. It all goes back into gear and equipment. I'm always trying to improve the podcast. But that's it from us this week. Thanks for listening to Design on Purpose. We'll see you guys next week.